All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're opening the file on a completely baffling, chilling historical cold case. I mean, we are looking at a strange historical mystery that has literally stumped the greatest minds in history. It's a puzzle that, honestly, challenges everything we think we know about language, about history, and frankly, about the limits of human intelligence. So here's the wild part. There is a book out there that no one can read. And it's not because it's locked away in some impenetrable Indiana Jones-style private vault, or because it's too fragile to touch. No, it's actually sitting safely right now in the Voynich Rare Book and Manuscript Library at Yale University. You could literally go online right this second and look at the fully digitized high-res scans for free. But even after endless scrutiny by thousands of experts, it remains entirely, frustratingly unreadable. To wrap your head around the sheer scale of this mystery, you just need one number: 600. For at least 600 years, humanity has experienced a total, unrelenting failure to decode even a single, undeniable word of this text. We're talking about brilliant linguists, elite cryptographers, and now modern supercomputers, all of them hitting a spectacular brick wall. And when you look at the timeline, you instantly spot these massive, bizarre gaps. Back in 2009, researchers at the University of Arizona actually carbon dated the vellum, the treated animal skin the book is made of, and they placed it somewhere between 1404 and 1438, but then, poof, it completely vanishes from the historical record for over 2 centuries until 1666. Eventually, fast forward to 1912, it gets bought by this Polish book dealer, Wilfred Voynich, which is why we call it the Voynich Manuscript today. And jumping all the way to 2017 with modern AI analysis, despite surviving from the Middle Ages to the digital era, we're still completely in the dark. So our very first actual documented evidence of the manuscript comes from a letter that was just tucked safely inside its pages. When Voynich bought the book, he found this 1666 letter from a rector in Prague sent to a famous Jesuit scholar. Get this, it revealed that the Holy Roman Emperor Rudolph II actually bought the manuscript for 600 gold ducats. To put that in perspective, that is tens of thousands of dollars today. The guy paid an absolute fortune for a book he couldn't even read, apparently thinking it was written by the 13th century philosopher Roger Bacon. But before that 1666 letter, nothing. Just a massive historical blank. Let's move on to the actual evidence, the bizarre contents and clues we do have. We need to put our detective hats on for a second and look at what is actually drawn and written inside these 240 pages. Whoever created this didn't just scribble randomly. It's organized super deliberately into distinct sections, almost like a medieval encyclopedia. You've got your botanical, astronomical, and biological sections. But as you're about to see, the stuff inside is completely unhinged from known reality. Just look at the botanical section. Botanists have stared at these dense plant drawings for decades, and here's the major problem. The plants are impossible. Some of them look like these weird Frankenstein mashups, like roots, stems, and leaves from totally different plants stitched together in ways that literally do not exist in nature. Others seem entirely deliberately made up. So are we looking at extinct species, some obscure flora unknown to European botanists at the time, or are they just fictitious illustrations meant to throw us off the scent? We honestly have no idea. Then things get even weirder when we look up at the stars. The astronomical section is full of these intricate circular diagrams showing suns, moons, and star charts. But the really unsettling part? These constellations do not match any known astronomical system. Not from medieval Europe, not the Middle East, not Asia. Even the charts that kind of look like the zodiac have these inexplicable differences from literally any historical zodiac system we've ever discovered. And then we hit the biological section, which is honestly the one that creeps people out the most. It features dozens of these small, seemingly female human figures submerged in pools of green liquid. And they're all connected to each other by these incredibly elaborate networks of pipes and tubes. Some of them even look like they're sprouting right out of the plants. Like, what exactly are we looking at here? Bizarre medical diagrams, alchemy, or some entirely unknown, deeply weird cosmological belief system? Okay, but surely the text itself holds the answer, right? Well, let's look at the actual script. It uses about 20 to 30 distinct characters, flowing pretty comfortably from left to right. But the most staggering physical detail, and this is wild, there are absolutely no visible corrections. None. No crossed out words, no signs of hesitation. Whoever sat down to write this did it with the total, neat fluency of someone who knew exactly what they were doing. They weren't making it up on the fly. They were confidently recording something they knew inside and out. And that brings us to a mathematical principle that literally makes cryptographers' heads spin: Zipf's law. Basically, Zipf's law describes how often words appear in natural human languages. In any real language, a tiny handful of words show up all the time, while most words are used rarely. Well, the text in the Voynich Manuscript follows this exact pattern perfectly. It has consistent word lengths and recognizable internal grammatical structures. Mathematically speaking, it doesn't look like gibberish at all. It looks exactly like a real language. It just happens to be a language that doesn't match anything else on Earth. Which leads us to the frustration of it all: centuries of absolute dead ends. Given all those structural clues, you'd think someone, somewhere, would have cracked it by now. But the list of defeated experts is basically a who's who of global intelligence. During World War II, elite codebreakers who literally cracked German and Japanese military ciphers tried tackling this book in their spare time, and they failed completely. NSA cryptographers have reportedly spent entire careers staring at it. In 2017, advanced AI suggested it might be tied to Arabic or Hebrew, but linguists quickly realized that was a total dead end. And in 2019, a British academic claimed to have decoded it as a lost Proto-Romance dialect, which made huge media waves, right up until the broader academic community aggressively debunked his methodology. It's just an endless cycle of premature announcements followed by crashing disappointment. So let's look at the suspects. There are 4 competing theories out there. What exactly is the academic consensus? Well, when we neutrally interrogate the prevailing explanations, every single one has a devastating, almost fatal flaw. Theory 1, it's a genuine cipher. Just a real language disguised to protect secrets. The problem? It has defeated 600 years of the world's most advanced code breaking. Theory 2, a constructed language. Like someone invented a language specifically for this book, kind of like Tolkien did with Elvish. The issue there is we have no external key to decode it. It only exists in this one book. Theory 3 is probably the most controversial: an elaborate hoax. Just a medieval forgery designed to scam some wealthy collector. But remember Zipf's law? Faking a meaningless pseudo-language that perfectly mimics complex statistical word frequencies centuries before pre-scientific society even understood those mathematical laws? That would be almost as genius as inventing a real language. And finally, Theory 4, a lost civilization. Some completely independent tradition of knowledge. I know it sounds super fringe, and frankly, it probably is. But honestly, nobody has a better explanation that actually holds up to scrutiny. Let's wrap up with the implications. What this mystery actually means for us. We kind of need to step back from the physical ink and vellum for a second to really grasp the chilling philosophical weight of this puzzle. Because this is the real tragedy of the Voynich Manuscript. Someone poured enormous time, serious effort, and massive resources into creating this. They used expensive vellum, multiple colors of ink, and carefully organized it like a vital reference manual. And then, at some point in history, the very last person on Earth who could read it died. An entire, incredibly complex system of human understanding, painstakingly laid out across 240 preserved pages, just became permanently inaccessible. The knowledge isn't destroyed. It wasn't lost to fire or decay. It's sitting right there on the page, literally staring back at us. We just can't reach it. Which leaves us with a genuinely unsettling thought. You know, we tend to naturally assume that, given enough time and enough intelligence, any human creation can eventually be understood by other humans. We assume language is always decipherable. But the Voynich Manuscript just violently shatters that assumption. If one single book from centuries ago can effortlessly defeat 6 centuries of the greatest cryptographic minds and the most powerful supercomputers in history, what else is out there? What other recorded, perfectly preserved knowledge exists that we will simply never ever be able to comprehend? And perhaps even more chilling, what exactly did they know that was so incredibly valuable, or maybe so dangerous, that they went to these insane lengths to make absolutely certain nobody else could ever read it?